Hello, my little toads. Grammy here with chapter 5 of Soup on Ice. I'll show you that picture. It looks like his teacher, Miss Witherspoon. Is it Miss Witherspoon? Wait a minute. Or is it Miss Cal? I can't remember what his teacher's name is. Anyway, this looks like actually a scene out of remember the movie Christmas Story where Ralphie's handing in his theme? I think this might be something kind of familiar. Okay, chapter 5. I wrote mine, Soup whispered. Like usual, the two of us were sitting in school side by side on a bench and behind one desk. It was Monday. Rob, did you hand in yours? Yep, I told him what there was of it. Up front, Miss Kelly is his teacher, was seated behind her desk, grading our themes. But then she looked up and tapped her shoe on the floor 3 times to warn Soup and me that we were supposed to be studying our geography without conversation. A geography book I had long ago decided was a dull thing to look at, especially when I could steal a secret glance at Norma Jean Bissell. Hardly an easy feat, as she sat several rows away and slightly to the rear. To be honest about it, I sneaked a look at Norma Jean Bissell no fewer than 300 times during any given school day. Soup usually noticed my doing it and would feign an acute spasm of gastric disorder. What would that look like? What would an acute spasm of gastric disorder look like? I think it would look something like this. Oh! So he was teasing his friend about his crush on Norma Jean Bissell. As I looked again at Norma Jean, a familiar feeling seemed to gnaw at my interior glands and organs. It was a suffering somewhat akin to what I felt whenever I saw an official Buck Jones Daisy Repeater BB gun in the hardware store window. Yet on this particular afternoon, my longings for Norma Jean or Buck Jones offered little solace. I was too worried about my companion, or my composition, which I had turned in early this morning. Soup flipped over a geographical page. No matter, I wasn't reading or even caring about the difference between Bolivia and boll weevils. At her desk, Miss Kelly still busied herself with evaluating our themes. But then she stood, holding up a familiar-looking composition. There seems to be, Miss Kelly announced, no name on this particularly untidy paper, and it is less than 1 page. Whose is it? I spoke up. It might be mine, Miss Kelly. I faked a smile. Maybe I sort of forgot to sign my name. Eyeing my paper once again, Miss Kelly placed my literary offering on top of the pile. Robert Peck, you will please remain after school. Yasm, I squeaked. You're in for it now, said Soup. You didn't even write 1 full page. I wrote 2. Don't panic, I told myself. There might be a clever escape hatch from punishment. Reaching into a pocket, I extracted a large white hanky, then tied it around my right hand so it looked like a bandage. You'll still get the ruler, Soup whispered. She'll never fall for that puny excuse. How do you know? Soup grinned. I already tried it last April when you were home with the measles. The afternoon dragged, but I knew the school day was limping to its frazzled finish when I saw Miss Kelly take her usual 2 Anacin tablets. It was hard to figure why Miss Kelly always looked so worn out and beat up by the day's end. She was only the teacher. We kids did all the work. Promptly at 3 o'clock, my fellow pupils lined up to shake our teacher's hand and wish her a good night. As the last winter-protected, woolen-bundled scholar took his leave, Miss Kelly closed the heavy storm door, walked slowly to her desk, and then sat. This, I knew, was my cue. Rising from my bench, I marched forward with leaden steps, again forcing my confident smile. Miss Kelly, however, was not smiling at all. With a stern expression, she coldly accessed the hanky now furled about my hand. What's the matter? Miss Kelly asked me, in a tone that had doubted many a freckled faker. Raising my right hand, I winced, pretending to fight the pain. I possible sprained it working so hard shoveling snow on Saturday. It was an outright lie. I can hardly move it at all. It hurts so doggone much. Another bold-faced falsehood. What is that is your writing hand, said Miss Kelly, I presume. Yes'm. So on Sunday after I broke my hand. Miss Kelly raised one eyebrow with a well-practiced gesture. I seen her do it many times. It was her silent way of informing you that she disbelieved the story she was hearing. You broke it? Well, maybe I actual didn't break the bone clear through. It's possible I just sort of sprained it some. And my teacher said when Sunday evening came last night, your tormented hand prevented you from writing 2 pages. So you wrote less than half a page. Yes'm. The ruler lay in front of her and on the desk and in plain sight. Reaching my left hand upward, I scratched the back of my neck, where all 3 of my sweaters were starting to itch me. Then, sucking in a deep breath, I told Miss Kelly the biggest and rottenest lie of my entire life. I had to do most of it with my left hand because it hurt so furious to write normal that I just about screamed on every letter. That's how come my theme looks so sloppy. I see. Miss Kelly looked down at the one puny paragraph that I'd submitted instead of 2 full pages. Perhaps that is the reason, Robert, that your untidy penmanship is so illegible and that your composition is decorated so profusely with ink blots. As I nodded, my throat began to rehash the unchewed tuna fish sandwich that I'd bolted for lunch, as well as the apple and a hunk of baking chocolate that I'd swiped from Mama's pantry. Miss Kelly handed me my theme. Robert, as I found your scrawling and scratching impossible to read, perhaps you will be so kind as to read it to me aloud, please. With trembling hands, as well as a loosening bandage, I took my theme from Miss Kelly and I read it to her. What I wish for Christmas. I wish the Tidwells didn't have to be so poor and live in a dirty old shack without a wreath on the door. They have to pick up railroad coal to burn. I wish Allie Tidwell had a warm bed like mine and lots to eat because he's so skinny. Most of all, I want to do something so Allie will believe there's a Christmas. Surprising. It wasn't 2 pages. I'd only written a few dumb old words, but I wanted to tell Miss Kelly that my words weren't a lie because it was sort of what I wished for Christmas. And when I'd written my paragraph, I wasn't thinking even once about getting a BB gun. But I lied to her about my hand. Rob, I told myself silently, you're a really lousy kid. My stomach was now waltzing with a tuna fish. Around and around it danced, circling faster and faster, whirling and climbing, a storm of seething chocolate, apple, tuna fish, fibs, and fakery. Sounds to me like he's feeling kind of guilty for telling his big lies, kind of that nauseous kind of guilt. It wasn't just today's lunch. As I remembered all the terrible lies I told Miss Kelly, my stomach seemed to be remembering every morsel I'd eaten since my weaning. It all lay there, seething within me, years of Milky Ways, the cotton candy from last July's circus, gallons of root beer and cream soda, frankfurters from picnics, mustard, now more molten than lava, relish, plus a penny or 2 I'd swallowed as a toddler. In my throat, I tasted bubblegum jawbreakers, both red and black, birthday cake, charcoal beads of unpopped corn, and a cord of licorice logs. As my teacher stared at me, all of it wanted to come up, every bite, along with my heart, a lung or 2, about 7 feet of intestine, and both kidneys. He's very dramatic. Are you all right? Miss Kelly asked. Yes'm, I moaned, knowing that any second I might cease to be a kid and become an erupting volcano. Suddenly I knew why I was feeling so sick. It wasn't my lunch's fault. It was mine, because I told lies to Miss Kelly. So I reasoned maybe if lying made me feel so rotten, telling the truth would heal me well again. I told you a lie, Miss Kelly. Oh? Again her eyebrows raised. And now, Robert, you'd like to tell me the truth? I nodded, unable to speak. Miss Kelly leaned back in her chair. Perhaps, she said, I can help. You really didn't damage your hand, even though you did shovel snow on Saturday. Today, you became upset when you realized what a mess you handed in. She looked at my theme. Yes'm, I croaked. What bothers me the most is I lied to you so I wouldn't get the ruler. Maybe I ought to get it because what I handed in was the worst one. Miss Kelly stood up. Well, it was easily the messiest and by far the shortest. She paused. But you're mistaken about its being the worst. Miss Kelly walked around the desk to stand near me, looking down at me. In one sense, your composition is the best. I looked up at her. The best one? Her hand touched my shoulder. You lied to me. You were also lazy and quite untidy. All the other students, however, wrote about what they wanted for themselves. You wanted a Christmas for Allie. On the outside, your paper is a mess, but inside it is about as bright and shiny as any Christmas wish could ever be. In a way, you have given me about the nicest gift that a teacher could ever receive. Honest? She nodded, then knelt to look me in the eyes. Today you taught me a lesson. Sometimes we teachers judge too quickly, seeing the surface, yet never valuing the hidden heart. Thank you, Robert. As my crumpled theme was still in her hand, I looked at it. Next time, I told her, I'll try to do it neater and longer. I'm real sorry it's so little. Miss Kelly smiled at me and spoke softly. Diamonds often are. And that's the end of chapter 5.